Peggy, I remembered the clapperboard, which from this moment onwards I think will have to be called the Peggy board. So thank you very much for reminding me. Good afternoon, boys and girls, wherever you may be watching from, and thank you for tuning in to episode 29 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise. Today, just to confuse you, coming to you live from Facebook, following on from the live stream that I did on Friday on YouTube. Do check that one out if you haven't done so already, because that one is entirely devoted to Dior's exclusive fragrance range. But I won't say any more about that, just go and check it out. Usual sort of thing in store for you today. In the normal way of things, I will say my hellos and greetings and look at comments, etc. after we've done our first perfume. But please bear with me for 5 seconds while I just go onto my tablet to make sure things are okay so I can see your comments. Joe says, nice to see you again, sir. Thank you very much indeed. Nice to be seen. Just remind me where you are again, Joe, and how things are over there. You know what the weather is like. I will look at all of these comments in a moment, but I would like to start by smelling a perfume. And in case you haven't noticed that, I will answer that one. Which Lush is that? Oh, Peggy, you are actually watching. Thank you very much. Did you like the Peggy board reference? You're not offended by any chance, are you? Because if you are offended, we'll just go back to calling it a regular clapperboard. Which Lush is that? Oh, look, it's wave and the roses shake. Right, Persolaise, sit still because we're on dodgy floorboards here. You may have already noticed that there are 5 Muglers here, 4 in their box and 1 not in their box. Funnily enough, I think we actually mentioned these on either on a broadcast or on an Instagram live. I can't remember where it was, but it was in some kind of a format where I was interacting with you all. And somebody mentioned the new Mugler colognes that have come out, and I said that I'd only seen them at a European airport and I hadn't seen them in any UK shops as far as I'd been aware. And then sure enough, just the other day, a few samples arrived in the post. So I would like to start with one of those because I am very, very intrigued by them. The first thing I need to say to you is the one that looks like original Mugler cologne. Thank goodness is original Mugler cologne, except that they've now given it a name because they've come out with 5 colognes and they've given each one a, in my opinion, a bit of an odd name, a bit of a naff name, I think, if you permit me to sound like a 90s teenager for a moment. So the original cologne by Alberto Marias, one of the most innovative colognes ever made, is now called Come Together. Now, whether that's meant to be a bit of a tongue-in-cheek name, I don't know, because some of you will be aware that much was made of the secret S ingredient, the so-called S ingredient that was used in the original cologne. I'll leave you to work out what S may have meant, and so now we have a cologne that's called Come Together, so bit childish, but never mind. Main thing is, the cologne is intact. I sprayed this earlier today because I wanted to make sure it is still the same, and as far as I can tell, it is still good old Mugler cologne. So, I would like to try one of the other ones, and today I cheated. I had a very, very quick look at just literally a brief glance at the descriptions of the 5. That's how I found out that actually the green one is still supposed to be the original one. I promise I haven't read the overall blurb because, I like to share this kind of thing with you. But I just thought, which one should I go for? And I think I'm going to go for the blue one. Just because it has an ingredient in it that I thought, well, for one thing, I don't think this ingredient even exists, but for another, let's see what Mugler will do with it. So the one I would like to start this episode of Love at First Scent with is called Love You All. Say that in any way you see fit. We have got something I'm really, really excited to share with you a little bit later on in the broadcast. I mean, I'm excited to share all of these, but this is particularly exciting, and it's going to count as our vintage scent today because it kind of is a vintage, and the eagle-eyed amongst you may already have worked out what it is. Okay, so as we can see, exactly the same bottle, and they've coloured the juice, so I presume that means these juices are artificially coloured. In fact, I think I can see colours listed in the ingredients. And perhaps we'll even finish with one of these. If you're really interested, let me know, and we can do another one at the end, depending on how the broadcast goes. Keep comments and questions coming. I will address them as we go along, and I will say hello to all of you after we've done this one. But let us take a look. So this is, what was it called? Oh yes, it was called Love You All. One of the new colognes from Mugler, one of 4 new ones, but now in a range of 5. Okay, enough chatter, Persolaise, just do some smelling. Can we put that there without blocking your view of things? Okay, right. See, I kind of know what to expect. Start again. I know what I'm supposed to expect because, as I say, I read very, very quickly through the general descriptions, and I'm kind of not getting what I was expecting. Okay, but what am I getting? I'm getting something that's much more overtly citrusy than the original cologne, and so this is more overtly, more obviously cologne-like. Your usual kind of suspects, bergamot, lemon, maybe an emphasis on lime, but still with that very, very curious synthetic edge, which is what I like about the original. I still say that, at least from more modern colognes, the benchmark for me, if we're talking about something that is hyper realistic, almost photorealistic, the benchmark, I think, is still Jean-Claude Ellen's Cologne Bigarade for Frédéric Malle. But there's nothing wrong with adding a synthetic edge, introducing a synthetic edge to colognes. In fact, I think that can be quite interesting, and that is what made the original Cologne for Mugler really interesting. Cologne du Parfumeur for Thierry Vasser's Cologne for Guerlain does a similar sort of thing and is intriguing. The Cologne for made by État Libre d'Orange, again, that same kind of thing. The characteristic feature of all of those is a huge reliance on musks. But okay, beyond those citrus notes and maybe a kind of marine element, but not in a nasty way at all, but something ozonic about it that's not overdone. There isn't anything particularly unusual here. So, shall I tell you what I was expecting? And I promise I will do the comments in a sec. People who are saying hello, I am seeing your comments, and I will say hello back in a moment. But I just thought, otherwise I'll lose my train of thought. What I was expecting from this is what they're calling blue licorice. And that's why I was intrigued, because I do like the idea of licorice notes in perfumes. Blue licorice, I'm not a licorice expert, but as far as I know, there is no such thing as blue licorice, but, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, then I thought, well, if there is no such thing as blue licorice, what on earth would blue licorice smell like? Would it smell, ozonic and licorice-like? But this is sort of ozonic and citrus-like. So, I'll tell you what it says about it. This carnal, I didn't read that bit, I promise, I just homed in on the carnal? This carnal, ultra-sensual fragrance exudes both hot and cold, the velvety smoothness of blue licorice, the sensuality of white amber, we've heard of white musks, and the unsettling vibration of the secret E note. Oh, that explains that unsettling vibration I've been feeling ever since the broadcaster. The unsettling vibration of the secret E note make it the most voluptuous second skin imaginable. Okay. Oh my god, yes, actually, can you feel that vibration? What was that terrible Marky Mark song back in the day when Mark Wahlberg was Marky Mark? Was that not called Good Vibrations or something like that? And yes, you may have realised this has a secret note as well. They've given all of them secret notes. So the original cologne has the secret S note. This, as I just read out, has the secret E note. The orange one has a secret P note, good vibration. The yellow one has a secret C note, and then the purpley one has a secret D note. And me being me, I actually tried to put the letters together to try to make up a word. I thought, oh, is there a secret message here? But I don't think there is. Anyway, according to Mugler, I'm reading this from the press release now, okay? The wavelength of this particular fragrance is blue, which, in case they hadn't realised, it actually makes it sound as though it's rather a downer, as though it's a bit sad, but never mind. Its family is an amber cologne. Its notes are white amber and a blue licorice accord. Its secret note is E. And its sensation is the desire for unconditional love. And I can't read this with a straight face. Its sensation is the desire for unconditional love and for a smooth sensation. Please tell me that this is like dodgy translating somewhere from... However, just to stick to some facts, this one was made by Jean-Christophe Hérault, who's done a lot of the what are their exclusives called? The exceptions, which is another reason why I was intrigued by it. The orange one is also by Jean-Christophe Hérault. The yellow one is Nathalie Chetto, and the purple one is Charme à la Maison Dieu. Depending on how this broadcast goes and how much we have time for other ones, let me know if maybe at the end of the program stream you would like me to do either the orange, yellow or purple one, or maybe just abandon them and move on to another one. Very, very quickly, the general blurb for these. Mugler Cologne Collection, 5 new fragrances inspired by Mugler's free approach to fragrance, which individually and as a whole propose endless, extraordinary experiences inspired by thrilling sensations. Olfactory twists and unusual ingredients, you are invited to mix, create, play, with capital letters, to discover the endless possibilities, etc., etc. Then it talks a little bit about the original cologne. Okay, so they're saying as well, you can mix them up. Surprise, surprise. Each bottle has been designed with pure lines and crystal clear glass. Yeah, okay, they always are. So, let us... sensual. I don't know. Okay, so now that we are how many minutes in? I don't know, because Facebook tells me, but YouTube, right, 12 minutes in. Let me go through the messages that people were leaving. Joe said, which Lush is that? That's Goddess. So let me know if you're interested in sharing it together today. Fahmi says, hello back at you, Fahmi. Angeline says, hello to you, Angeline. Peggy, I noticed you haven't said whether you mind that thing being called a clapperboard, so now I'm thinking you've gone off into a corner in a sulk and you're never going to watch these broadcasts again. Sorry. Visak says hello back. Simona, ciao to you as well. Angeline says, which diptyque is that? The diptyque, Angeline, don't worry, is not new. It's the rose, the eau rose, and it's here in case I had an opportunity, which I guess I do right this second, to mention that they're pushing their roses. I'm still crazy about their Centifolia candle, and I love the Damascena one as well, although surprisingly I think I prefer the Centifolia one. I think they've made the Damascena a little bit more citrusy than I would have personally liked. But anyway, that's the candle. Ross says hello again to you as well. Nafia says hello. Hi Nafia, long time no see, either virtually or in the real world. Alain says, good day Persolaise, wondering about the BDK in the back. Yes, I would like to move on to BDK next. I have tried their Wood Jasmin and Tuberose Imperiale and found them so beautiful. Well, stay tuned, because we're going to do BDK next, but I'm going to do one that is a Harrods exclusive, so chances are you haven't tried it. And by the way, Alain, the Friday YouTube broadcast of the Dior exclusives was done partly with you in mind, because I tried their tea scent. So go over to YouTube or find the link on my Facebook page, because the tea scent was smelt with you in mind. Peggy, blue licorice, that's a little sad. It is, isn't it? I mean, blue licorice, your poor little stick of licorice. Let's cheer you up and make you all orange again. Why do you want a blue little licorice stick? Maybe they're musical notes. Yeah, maybe, but kind of doubt it. Angeline, did you go and look something up? This is why I love this. There appears to be a plant called blue licorice, Agastache rugosa, a perennial plant. Is this what it's supposed to be? Your guess is as good as mine, but it smells of bergamot, lemon and lime. Nafia says they've lifted those words in the copy from the Marky Mark song. Actually, wouldn't that be cool if they just sort of took like dodgy rap lyrics from the 90s? I keep saying 90s. That was 90s, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Peggy says, doesn't. Okay, thank you very much for not minding. And Joe, I ordered the Diptyque Centifolia candle based on your review. Very excited about receiving it. I hope you like it. There's at least a few more people who've got in touch with me to say that they ordered it or tried it based on my recommendation. And so far, they have not been disappointed. So I hope you won't be disappointed either. But please let me know. And then all of you en masse need to contact Diptyque and say that you bought the candle because of me. Alain, I will for sure go and watch your Cashmere review. Thank you very much for suggesting it. It was partly because of your comment that I thought I ought to do a full program, a full broadcast on the Dior exclusives. A few things to say. If I am looking a little bit bleary-eyed today, I will give you a very, very quick, enigmatic explanation as to why my eyes may be looking a little bit funny. It was because earlier today, Madame Persolaise, poor, patient, long-suffering Madame Persolaise, was helping me take my smell-fee for Thursday. Now, what on earth is a smell-fee, you may ask? If you don't know what a smell-fee is, you ought to find out because they're a lot of fun. Once a year, the Perfume Society, based here in Britain, ask perfume fans from all over the world to go on social media, preferably Instagram because it's a photographic thing, and post a picture of themselves with their favourite perfume bottle or with a perfume bottle or bottles and tag it with the word smell-fee. And the reason why my eyes may be looking a bit funny is because for today's smell-fee, some makeup was involved. So check out Instagram on Thursday to see why. If you do want to take part, I think even Katy Perry did it last year. It is good fun. It's interesting to see the sorts of things that people choose. I will not tell you what my bottle was. But so what you do is you need to post your picture on social media. As I say, Instagram's the best kind of forum for this. And you must tag it Perfume Society and hashtag it smell-fee. And smell-fee has 2 L's, okay? So it's smell, F-I-E. So like selfie, but with smell at the front. And actually, having said all of that, if you end up doing a smell-fee purely because you heard about it here on Love at First Scent, then hashtag me as well, so that you're telling the Perfume Society there was either hashtag me or, handle tag me, @tag me. Right, so this is the point where I properly and formally say hello to all of you. Please let me know where you're watching from. Thank you very much for tuning into this episode on what has actually turned out to be, in the south of England, a really sunny Sunday afternoon. Misan says, hello from Dundee, Scotland. Any sunshine up there? Very, very quickly, as this is the 29th episode, and I don't think I've actually said this for a while, the whole idea of these programs, these Love at First Scent streams, is to be a kind of antithesis to my written reviews on the blog on Persolaise.com, reviews over which I take a lot of time, think about it, go away, wear the perfumes for a couple of days, write a review, rewrite a review, think, oh, maybe that doesn't express it correctly or clearly enough, blah, 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 blah. This is meant to be the complete opposite of that. It's meant to be, I haven't smelt this perfume before, I'm going to smell it live in front of you and I will give you my initial impressions. So having said that, please do bear in mind that these are initial impressions and that obviously perfumes, especially if they're quite complex layered, do change as time goes on. That is why about 4 or 5 hours after the initial broadcast, I always do a blotter update, which I tend to leave as a comment on Facebook and also in the video description on YouTube, just to say how the blotters have developed. And I can't stress that enough, because I think in the last one that I did on Facebook about a month ago, we smelt the new Hermès Garden, the Jardin sur la Lagune. And that really does change. And so my initial gut assessment of it was more dismissive than it should have been. And I think actually I'm planning to do a written review where I talk about how we do need to give some of these perfumes time. And that one was a case in point. Please ask questions. Please give me lots of thumbs up and hearts, etc., etc. Please follow my page on Facebook if you're not doing so already. And please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Once again, thank you very much to all of you who've helped me creep past the 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. And also, I said these thanks on YouTube, so I should say thank you on Facebook as well. Thank you all of you for all of your continued support of the blog, because Persolaise.com turned 9 last Monday. and that was also the week in which I found out that an article I wrote for Andy Tower's magazine, Tower Mag, has been shortlisted for an American Perfumed Plume Award. So, you know, if it weren't for you and if it weren't for your encouragement and support and all of this interaction and humour and laughter and smiles and comments, I wouldn't be doing any of this. So thanks very much indeed. You can all give yourselves a pat on the back. Right, so I think we should move on to another perfume. And Alain mentioned BDK, and BDK is the one I wanted to do next. You can see one of the BDK bottles, or boxes at least, here. Ooh, Nissan says lots of sunshine, sunniest city in Scotland. Okay, so the entire country is basking in sunshine today. The one that I want to show you is actually in a sample vial. A few words about BDK. They've only recently launched in the UK, but I gather that they've been in France and perhaps even in the Middle East for maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Interesting brand. I'm just going to read a little bit about the sort of introduction to it. So there we go, we've got a date here. It says BDK Parfum was founded in 2016 by the French designer David Benedek, or I suppose we should say David Benedek, who is one of the youngest designers in the perfume industry worldwide. Born in Paris in 1989, so work out his age, he is very young. I don't think he's quite turned 30 yet, actually. Son of a father of Romanian heritage and a mother born on the border of Algeria and Morocco, David grew up in the universe of perfumery. His grandparents, exiles of Transylvania, were among the first authorized to distribute name brand perfumes such as Worth and Christian Dior in Paris in the 50s. My understanding is that they were able to distribute them, I think, to members of the armed forces, of American armed forces. So perfume has been in the family, and money generated by perfume has been in the family for quite some time. They would go on to specialize in sales of perfumery and luxury products to travelers discovering the French capital, and opened their first boutique in the 60s on the corner of Rue Royale and Rue Saint-Honoré. From generation to the next, the expertise was polished and shared. David studied economics and management in Beijing and New York in 2010, before entering the Institut Français de la Mode in 2012, where he specialized in the universe of perfumery and cosmetics. For over a year, he learned to recognize the raw ingredients, olfactive families, and their facets before perfecting his crafts of learning the necessary steps of fragrance creation. Smell, discover, recognize. He familiarized himself with the subtleties of this universe alongside teams in Givaudan. With time, his passion grew and morphed into a burning desire to make this craft his career. Institut 5e Sens helped train further and polish his olfactive universe, building block of the Maison BDK Parfum. Okay, so maybe slightly dubiously translated, but you get the idea. So I think, having met this chap on Wednesday, and as far as you can tell from an initial meeting, I do think he genuinely loves perfume. As I say, you know, he had his grandparents involved in the perfume world from, you know, well before he was born, obviously. He certainly knows his perfumey stuff, and he has curated what is an interesting collection because it covers quite a wide range. So on the one hand, we've got quite juvenile, sweet, fruity florals, and when I smelt those, I thought, okay, here we go, is this all it's going to be? But on the other, we've got a very interesting leather, which to me is like a kind of take on Bulgari Black. A really interesting oud, and it's hard to do. Interesting ouds. The oud, what's it called? Sorry, I can't remember because I know it was oud something. Oh yeah, oud Abramad. What made the oud interesting was that it's an attempt again to do oud with cumin. And the oud-cumin combo always makes me think of L'Artisan Parfumeur's Al Oud, which to me actually overdoes the cumin a little bit. Fine if you want it to be a cumin scent, but it's more balanced in the BDK. Maybe it falls apart a little bit towards the end of the dry down. But the point I'm making is that these are interesting scents, and then there are two that are going to be exclusive to Harrods, worldwide exclusive to Harrods, because the UK retailer for the brand is going to be Harrods, and so in true Harrods style, they said, could you do us some exclusives? And one of them, as far as vintage scents go, is just such a dream. I see lots of comments coming, so of course I don't want to ignore them. Let's go back. I did the Dundee one. Peggy says, you've got to do something really special for the 30th episode. You think? What can I do? Any ideas? Do you mean like really special? Look, they're coming to get me now. Did you hear that? Can you hear the siren when it goes off like that? I'm right by a window, in case you're wondering. Something special. Well, I don't know. I have to ask people. What do you mean, like a giveaway or something like a sort of special perfume thing? Because giveaways are hopeless now for this sort of thing, because you're not allowed to post perfumes abroad from the UK. But I will have a think. Ross says, pouring with rain here in Clacton-on-Sea. Oh dear, sorry, right. Some sunshine coming your way right now. Rachel says, all right, from Cornwall, thank you. And Rachel then says, was just watching last week's when I realised you were live. Oh, okay, cool. We'll finish watching last week some other time and stay with us now. Karina says, hello from a food-poisoned Bristolian. Oh dear, hope you feel better soon. What was it? And then Jane says, hello from Kuwait. So I suppose Kuwait must be the same time as Dubai? Yeah, I guess must be in the same time zone. So just gone past 7 o'clock there. Right. The one I would like to smell with you from BDK is called French Bouquet. And I don't know if you can see that. So I've got quite a generous sample here. And I've already told you it's... Have I already told you that it's quite vintagey? I can't remember now. But having made an oud, having made a leather, having made a tuberose, having made an interesting woody jasmine, reminded me a lot of the cedar jasmine from Hermès. Ooh, Vitali says perhaps a full episode of classic scents for the 30th. I like that idea. What, as in just like my favourites, or it wouldn't be love at first scent though, because I know them all. But okay, I'll think about it. Jane says 3 hours ahead. Okay, so you're an hour behind Dubai then in Kuwait, I guess. I didn't know that. Okay. Right, French Bouquet. And watch out, because you are going to smell the aldehydes through this live stream, because this is an aldehydic dream. Oh, I'm okay. I can stay there. I'm getting it now. Oh, what is it about us perfume geeks and powdery floral aldehydes? For how long could you just stare at me, sniffing the blotter, just going, oh. Now, what secret ingredient has been used here to give it a smooth sensation? Mugler. Okay. Time to compose some thoughts, but I also, I think, need to adopt a more sedate pace now and lower my voice a little bit, because this perfume is making me do all of these sorts of things. So, on the face of it, an aldehydic floral. Most of you then are thinking, is it like Chanel No. 5? And yes, of course, it can't help but make you think of Chanel No. 5, but actually it makes you think more of 70s style perfumes, and specifically of Yves Saint Laurent's Rive Gauche. And it's curious to think why, and it must be something to do with the rose materials. My knowledge of perfume chemistry is minimal, but I believe it was certain sorts of rose oxides that were used round about the time when Rive Gauche was made, and then also, of course, the other one that perfume always makes us think of is Calandre from Paco Rabanne, very, very similar to each other. So this takes that metallic rose. Again, there's nothing metallic about the rose in Chanel No. 5. Angeline says, what's the name again? And it's this that's the Harrods exclusive. Yes, there are 2 Harrods exclusives. The other one is a rose as well, actually. The one of the rose exclusives is Tabac Rose, so Tabac Rose, and the other one, there you go. Can you see that? And the other one is this one, and it's just called French Bouquet. And apparently that is because the Harrods buyer smelt it and said, this just makes me think of a French bouquet. So they thought, okay, well, we'll just call it French Bouquet. But it's this metallic quality that I think makes it more contemporary, makes it more 70s, rather than, way back when Chanel No. 5 was made. But what makes it less like Rive Gauche and more like Chanel No. 5 is that the aldehydes are really full-on powdery, whereas I think they're more toned down in the Yves Saint Laurent. So if you can think of a kind of beautiful love child of No. 5, Rive Gauche, Calandre, Amouage Gold Woman, which of course is also a grand aldehydic floral, then you kind of get the idea of how this is operating. So yes, rose, jasmine, ylang ylang, sandalwood, but always with that, like you imagine the person who's wearing it, that the buttons of their clothes are metallic or chrome and catching the light. There's an edge here, there's a glint here, that completely stops it from being fusty or old-fashioned in any way. It's quite dynamic, this. If I read you the official blurb, it's not very long. By the way, if you're in the UK and you're interested, this is going to retail for, although wait till we do the next one and we start talking about price, this is going to retail for £195 for 100 mils. Sorry. A French Bouquet is a homage to the legacy of French perfumes in the 70s. It showcases authentic Parisian sophistication. The founder, David Benedek, was very, very keen to point out that he considers this to be a Parisian brand rather than just a French brand. So, showcases authentic Parisian sophistication and the capital's passion-filled nights, embodying the ultimate in French elegance. Created by Amélie Bourgeois, French Bouquet is a traditional chypre in which bergamot, rose, jasmine, oak moss and musk are revealed and sublimated by aldehydes. Their slightly oily and metallic potency gives a powdery appeal, as well as whitens and brightens the flowers in the chypre accord. This fragrance is the quintessence of French perfume, said Vesa Carlo, the beauty buyer at Harrods. So he gets name checked here as well. And interestingly, the list of notes is actually printed on the packaging, on the side of the packaging, and it even becomes quite detailed down to the level of saying not just that there is an aldehyde in here, but that the main aldehyde is aldehyde C12. So hats off to David Benedek for not shying away from the specifics of the synthetics in his perfumes. Missed a few comments. Peggy says, you had me at powdery. Yeah, usually you can have me at powdery as well. I must get a whiff of this when I return to London later this week. Okay. I don't know how long you're going to be there for in London, but they're not actually going to make it to Harrods until April, and I don't know whether it's the beginning of April, so don't be too disappointed if you go up to Harrods and they're not there. Hello from California, says Paul. Wow. Hello back to you as well. I hope it's raining there. No, actually I don't. California, let me think now. So what must it be there, like 8 o'clock in the morning or something? I haven't got a clue. 7 o'clock in the morning? No, surely the time difference isn't that huge. I'll go with 8. Is it 8? Let me guess. Jane waves to Misan and Rachel. Yay, mutual waving society. Angeline says, I love Calandre too. So do I. And it's still actually in pretty good shape. I think Calandre is doing fine. And Alain, I just need to click here to see more. You've got me intrigued with that aldehyde scent. Is there an ultra-fast train from Montreal to Harrods? Let's ask Elon Musk, shall we? But I think at the moment the answer is no. So, in a nutshell, I may write more about BDK in the weeks and months to come on the blog, but I would say if you can, they're well worth checking out. On my initial sniff, the ones that I was taken with are, very definitely this one, the oud, the wood jasmine, which really is genuinely a clever juxtaposition of wood and jasmine. Another I've just said the oud, haven't I? The leather is definitely one that needs to be tried on skin. It doesn't do a huge amount on paper. Same as Bulgari Black actually needs to be tried on skin. And another thing that impressed me about this brand is that for every single one of the perfumes, the perfumer has been named, the company that they work for has been named. So for instance, there are quite a few from Man. The oud was made by Mathilde Bijawi of Man, but there are some independent perfumers here as well, like Camille, is it Leguet, who works at 5e Sens. and a lot of female perfumers too, which is interesting and commendable. But this is a real room filler, this one, and worlds away from the Cologne that we tried at the beginning. Okay, I think it's time to take a deep breath and smell today's vintage, but kind of not a vintage scent. Lots of people actually guessed what this one was going to be. I did a little teaser at the end of my YouTube broadcast on Friday, and then another teaser on Instagram, and a lot of people guessed what it was, probably because I made it pretty obvious how excited I was. Now, this is the brand in question. So, any final guesses? Any final guesses? See, I don't know what the time lag is between me saying any final guesses and all of you people in California and Canada now who are actually hearing that and having a chance to guess. But this is, okay, I can do another reveal here now. All I've got of this stuff, by the way, is this tiny vial. And even though it's a tiny vial, as you can see, it's not even full. So we are going to have to be, can you see that? We're going to have to be very, very careful with this stuff. But what I'm going to be sharing with you now as today's kind of vintage, but not exactly vintage perfume is this. Okay? So if you're not excited, then go and quickly have a read through your perfume history books. This is also the moment where my already dubious French accent really, really struggles, because I don't know about you, maybe this is kind of dependent on what your mother tongue is anyway, but I really, really struggle with the proper French way of saying iris. You know, that whole saying iris is just... So when the original perfume is Iris Gris, that really kills me. So I think we'll just say Iris Gris, okay? Or grey iris. Now, I will smell it in a moment, but just to put you in the picture, in case you aren't already, what I will do, Claire Lee is watching. Can I just say, Claire Lee, we did the clapperboard today, but from today onwards is going to be called the Peggy board, and if you want to find out why, you need to go back to the beginning of the broadcast, but we did the clapperboard. I'm going to read you just one paragraph from the latest Luca Turin book, because Rachel says just bought all the samples. What? Every single one? Leave some for the rest of us. And Arafat is watching as well. Hello. We need to catch up. I'd like to read you a paragraph because it puts in it explains every single thing that I need to explain to you about this perfume. So he says, Luca Turin, this is actually written by Luca Turin, I cannot in conscience give a star rating to this thing we're about to smell, because I had a hand in it. Jacques Fath decided to revive the legendary Iris Gris and asked me and others to help them to do so unpaid. The sublime Osmotek Iris Gris was supposed to have been composed from the formula for the 1947 original, okay, 1947. This reconstruction used that version as a smell reference, as well as several samples of the original garnered from helpful collectors. Some of the samples were put through gas chromatography, followed by mass spectrometry. Then people turned into the Incredible Hulk, but then they were able to find an antidote to that, to get a better understanding of the guts of the fragrance. 5 perfumers submitted competing compositions, and the clear winner was Patrice Revillard of the rookie firm Maelstrom, who hit the exact right spot between historical accuracy and creative freedom. Renamed Iris de Fath to get around some fat iris, okay? To get around some contentious trademark problems, it is, in my opinion, the best, Luca Turin's opinion, the best iris fragrance around. The downside is its exclusivity, and we will get onto the exclusivity in a moment. And then he says, let us hope the brand does a cheaper version in a small 2 milliliter stock bottle so that the people who really care about this stuff can get some. Missed a few comments. So Rachel says, got all the samples free, £10 postage, bargain. Well done. Have you left any samples for us? Miss Sands, oh, bargain indeed. Okay, fair enough. Angeline, the Iris Gris was well done though. Do you mean... But in cinquième, so the S in sens is pronounced. Oh, is it? I didn't know that. I thought because it was the last letter. Oh, let's have a French lesson. Because I know that when we say Serge Lutens, we are supposed to say Lutens, so it's cinquième sens. Okay, I will remember that. Thank you. Alain says, my French is close to perfect. Yeah, very kind, but I doubt it. And Iris Gris, yes. And Rachel and Misan are talking. Do you actually know each other, or are you just kind of chatting each other up on this thing? So, this is a sample of the reconstruction of Iris Gris, which is now called Fat Iris, or Iris de Fath. And I've only got this tiny amount, and we will talk about price in a moment, because if you don't already know how much this stuff costs, be prepared for a shock. And I think I'm going to have to do this on skin, aren't I? This is too precious to... But I don't want to spray it, because I don't want to... Right, let's put some on the back of my hand. Luca Turin reckons it is now the best iris perfume around. How many out there have actually tried this? Oh, gosh. Wow. Okay. Okay, now we get to this, the downside of doing a live broadcast, because I actually need to just pause you, or me, and then come back as though no time has passed at all, because this requires some thought. Oh, there's so much going on there. Yes, it's iris, no question, and so you know what I'm talking about when I say iris. It's got that. To me, iris has got a beautiful, dry, parched, paper-like quality. It always makes me think of how I would want beautiful antique paper to smell. That rooty quality, the woody quality, a whiteness. I always think of iris as being linen white, you know, sort of crumpled white. Again, crumpled paper, those sorts of connections. But there's tons of magic going on in the background. I mean, I got a spice note, maybe something like nutmeg, clove. So there I'm thinking like carnation. For a moment I even sort of thought cardamom. And yes, of course, we know that it's meant to be a kind of peachy iris, but boy, is it not at all in any way a sickly fruity, well, a sickly sweet peach. It's the sort of peel of the peach, you know. Again, that texture, because iris is also all about texture, isn't it? And peach should be as well. Gosh, this is like being given a kind of sensorial experience of feeling lots and lots of different fabrics. So you're in a darkened room and you've been given a blindfold and you're just being invited to smell ream after ream. Do you get reams of fabric or well, yard after yard after yard of fabric, just to appreciate the texture? And it's maybe partly velvety, but velvet of the highest quality, and maybe a sort of crumpled linen, maybe a touch of silk coming into it, something cashmere like. It seems to be, at least on, you know, the moment, just all about texture. And this overriding colour of a sort of, okay, grey, but very much the meeting point of white and grey. So either off-white, a very, very elegant grey. It's very special. It's really, really seriously special. Comment from Smaranda. Grey iris sounds better anyway. There is something very descriptive and melancholic about the name in English, which the French lacks. So there. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Oh, Angeline has just found out how much it costs. Can you see Angeline's comment, boys and girls? Claire Lee says, sounds like an escape room. What do you mean? As in, is that a good thing? Or the fruitiness is coming out now, but not in that kind of Mitsuko peach, obvious peachy way. Oh, it's gorgeous. But yes, Angeline, I think the current price, I'm just going to check. I'm going to go away from the live stream on my tablet, because I think actually the latest price, no, you're right, that is the current price. Because you know in the Luca Turin review when he says that part of the problem is the exclusivity, well, all the makers are planning to do at the moment is to just do 150 bottles a year, and they've only apparently started doing this from November 2018. And for 30 mils of extrait, so 30 mils of pure perfume, they want 1,470 euros. I must confess, when I got the email, I actually, because in true French style, they've written one and then left a space and then 470 euros. I didn't see the one. And I looked at it and it was 470 euros, and I thought, oh my god, 470 euros, who's going to pay? And then I saw that it was 1,470 euros, and I thought, okay, well, perhaps I won't be remortgaging the house just yet. So yes, if it's going to be a kind of situation where 30 people want to get together and then have 1 milliliter between them. So when I say that this is precious stuff, my 1 or 1.5 mils that I've got here, then I'm not kidding. Now, whether it is worth 1,470 euros, I'm not even going to get into that with you. I haven't seen a picture of the... No, I tell a lie. I have seen a picture of the bottle. It's right in front of me now. Whether a lot of that has gone on the bottle, because it says that it's a luxurious box covered with grey leather, a faceted crystal-like bottle with a glass cap, etc., etc. You know, I would be very happy to say to them, look, can you kind of do, like Luca Turin said actually in his review, can you do a low cost version so that all I'm paying for is the juice? I'm thinking of MDCI. Do you remember when MDCI were launched? I don't know if this is still the case, but you had the option of watching. I said watching because the word watching has come up on my screen because it says that Andrew Hutchinson is watching. Good morning, sir. How are you? And now I've completely lost my train of thought. Yes, MDCI, you had the option of buying the perfumes without those horrendous, grotesque busts, and they were a lot cheaper without them. They were still expensive, but they were a lot cheaper. And I wish that this brand would do something similar, because 1,470 euros, I don't know. But then again, sorry to distract you, says Andy. Well, no, that's fine. This is all about me being distracted. You're okay. Then again, for all I know, perhaps some of you out there have already bought, like 3 of those 150 bottles. So, yes, beautiful, unquestionably, and that interplay between the fruit and the iris is becoming more pronounced now. Beautiful, but I will certainly not be buying a bottle anytime soon, and I wonder how many people will be. Well, I guess there's not going to be many more than 150. So yeah, what do you make of that? You've all gone terribly silent because you've obviously gone away to your little piggy banks to find out how much money you've got saved up and whether you can afford your precious 30 mils of fat iris. Okay. Oh my goodness, is it already the 48-minute mark? Right, let's try and do 2 more perfumes very, very quickly. Gemma says, when I was last in Javoy, they let me try it and take some away on a blotter. Oh my goodness, the most expensive blotter in the world now. It is utterly beautiful and I fell in love. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Peggy says, pages in really old bound books smell creamy woody to me. Iris has that same effect. Am I weird? No, I wonder if it's something to do with lignin. I mean, we could get some chemists out there to explain the connection to us. Gemma again, it lasted 5 days on a blotter and I didn't let it out of my sight for the entire time. I don't blame you. But they have very conveniently given me some glassine envelopes. Actually, I wonder if they haven't pre-dipped them, have they? No, these are untouched blotters. So that's what I will do as well, is I will dip a blotter in the glassine envelope so that I've always got some. Very, very special stuff, but crazy expensive. Moving on. What just fell? Oh yes, that was my French bouquet. This is episode 29 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you live from Facebook today. Please give me lots of thumbs up and hearts because I need them, because, you know, validation doesn't count for anything now unless it comes from people you've never met online, and clearly. If you are watching after the live broadcast, please ask a question, leave a comment, because I usually get round to all of them in due course. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to leave a comment. Oh, this smells like it might be leaking. But then there isn't a stain, or is there? Oh, I wonder if we've got a bit of a problem here, folks. Anyway, and please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'm going to open this carefully. First of all, this is what it is. It's the new Miller Harris. Can you see that? And it's called Violet Ida, named after a character in Graham Greene's Brighton Rock. But that shouldn't be smelling as much as it is. So I just want to make sure. Are we going to have our first Tomorrow's World mishap on Love at First Scent? No. Okay. Oh no, it's definitely, at least it's not broken, but it has leaked in some way. Miller Harris, sort out your packaging. There's still plenty left in the bottle. Oh, I can tell you it smells really good. Yeah, now I've got some on my nose. Right, I need to be a bit careful with this one. Let's pop some on a blotter. Actually, now in the light there, that box, I can see that it's stained quite considerably. Okay, this is Violet Ida, the latest-ish from Miller Harris, a leaky bottle. And we've definitely got a kind of vintage retro connection, because the first thing I get here is Violet Iris. So we went from aldehydic floral with BDK to reconstruction of Iris Gris. Do French people have different throats? Or leaky-eyed? Yeah. Perhaps I should write to the brand and say I loved leaky-eyed. Okay, this is also very strongly iris-like, and peppery. It's sharper. It's definitely got, whereas the iris that we just tried was really, really smooth, and very definitely retro as well. But it is interesting actually smelling the two, because so far anyway, this, I didn't write on the blotter, did I? So far, this one seems to sort of be what it is. I'm smelling it and not thinking or not getting the sensation that I'm delving into layer upon layer upon layer of different scent worlds. And not, you know, to be fair, not all perfumes can do that. And that kind of vintage violet lipstick, but cut through with the dryness of iris, is interesting. It's a much more carroty iris as well. A lot of you will know that a carrot seed and iris share facets. Carrot seed is used a lot as a material in lots of iris perfumes, but that kind of rasping, almost abrasive carroty feel wasn't in evidence so much in the Iris de Fath. And I'm just going to read you a few lines from the official blurb on the Violet Ida, if I can find it. Where have we gone? So there we are. And not much from the brand on it. It just says, a fragrant confection, a powdered kiss at the end of the pier, Violet Ida is warm, evocative and sensual for Brighton belles and weekend divas. Violet Ida is inspired by the world of Brighton Rock, a place of contrasts, colour and nostalgia. Developing Miller Harris's thread of literary inspiration, because if you remember they also had a couple of perfumes inspired by Tender as the Night, Violet Ida takes Ida Arnold as its muse, the big-hearted heroine of Graham Greene's Brighton Rock. A wistful stroll down memory lane, Violet Ida is a plush and voluptuous cloud of iris, scattered with a hint of sweet violets, as worn in Ida's hair. Top notes, bergamot carrot oil, so there we go, there's the carrot. The dry down, you will be reassured to learn that the dry down notes are vanilla and liquid amber. I prefer gassy amber in my perfumes myself, but never mind. And this launched towards the end of January. Liquid amber. Anyway. So, yeah. Let me try that one again. No. Right, you have got literally 20 seconds to tell me if you would like me to do the Lush or another Mugler cologne. So I don't know what the time lag is on this. You know what does strike me, though, about this, the Miller Harris, though, at least on paper, is that they're kind of calling it a confection and sweet, but it isn't all that sweet, because the iris is cutting through the potential sweetness of the violet too much for it. I wouldn't call this a confection, you know, if they're thinking that actually... Right, Vitaly says Lush. Karina says something I can't see because I've lost the comments. Oh, here we go. Karina says, you just reminded me I had a sample of Violet Ida, gonna sniff. And Angeline says Lush. Okay, it's going to have to be Lush, isn't it? We've got 2 votes for Lush. But yes, final word on the Ida for the moment, although, you know, do come back for the blotter update, is it's not that sweet, which is not a criticism, but why call it a confection? Okay, I haven't got a huge amount of blurb info about the Lush, and I don't know a great deal about... Oh, and Gemma also said Lush, right, Lush it is. I don't know a great deal about Lush products, but my understanding is that Goddess was something that was available already, I think, as a bath bomb, as a soap, and now they've taken the scent and put it into a perfume. I have tried this before. I've got tons of time for Lush and Guerrilla perfume. I really have. I think they try, and by and large they succeed, to do something different, to do something original, to do something genuinely quirky and edgy. The perfumers there, the Constantines, they don't care if some of their stuff is just all out weird. They put it out there, it stays on the shelves for a while. If it doesn't work, it's discontinued. If it works, it carries on. Guerrilla Perfume is a really, really great name for their brand. I really love things like the smell of weather turning, is it the smell of freedom or the scent of freedom? I can't remember, but there's one of those ones is Breath of God, of course, is very highly regarded, although I personally like one of the components of Breath of God more myself. Really, really interesting, unusual work, and this is a kind of overt, believe it or not, Lush oud. But don't be put off, because it's good. It's so full of lots of other very natural smelling naturals. You know, there's something of the alchemist or the apothecary in this. There is that kind of density that you get from natural perfumery in a lot of Lush perfumes. Some perfumers that I've spoken to, they've said that when they started using synthetics in their work, it was almost as though a light was switched on in their formulae and created room and space in their fragrances. A lot of all natural perfumes are quite closed in, and sometimes that's a strength, sometimes that's a weakness. Nikos says, Yasu Nikos says, greetings from Greece. Your description of carrot iris violet reminds me of James Healy's Iris de Nuit. Oh, I'd have to revisit that one. I haven't smelled that for years. But yeah, if it's a James Healy iris, it's probably worth checking out, because he's a talented guy as well. So this is a pretty good Lush oud, but it's got a really strong contrast. You know, you might almost sort of say that this bit needed to be a bit more seamless, with strong kind of sweetly citrusy notes, almost something like mandarin. And you can see what they're trying to do. They're kind of trying to play the two against each other and trying to give it that rough and ready quality, because this is a kind of rough and ready oud. This is the kind of oud that somebody who shops at Lush would wear. it's almost like on the one hand you've got karma and goddess, and goddess is a good name for it. They're also very much marketing it at men because they want men to go around saying that they're wearing a perfume called goddess. And it's also got a medicinal quality. Maybe that just comes from the oud, but it almost feels like a crazy camphoraceous patchouli, or something like eucalyptus, pine, those sorts of elements. As I say, I like it. It puts a smile on my face, and that's not the kind of thing that you normally say about oud. I don't think it lasts terribly long, but it also comes in an oil version. So try that one out if you think that the is it an EDT or an EDP? Does it even say? I can't say now. It just says perfume. I would imagine it probably is quite concentrated. I haven't got very much on it, except it just says an evocative, enigmatic oud perfume comprised of oud from responsibly managed nurseries in Thailand, kind of blurb you'd expect from Lush. Smoky Caledonian sandalwood adds dark warmth to rich resinous notes, while sensual jasmine beguiles. Damascus rose, harvested in Turkish fields at dawn, brings just a hint of floral delicacy. The result is opulent and beguiling. Maybe I would actually say the result is quirky and fun, which is an interesting direction in which to take an oud, maybe because it has got that kind of rough and ready guerrilla perfume quality to it. Like you can do, they just kind of went, yeah, that's fine, let's just bung in a whole load of jasmine or oud or whatever, and let's not worry about finessing it too much. And of course, if something isn't finessed, it runs the risk of just being awful, whereas this retains enough humour to be wearable and compelling, and I like it, but then I tend to like a lot of Lush stuff. And so, ladies and gents, I've taken up just a little bit over an hour of your time. I hope you don't mind, but we have come to the end of episode 29 of Love at First Scent. A quick run through the perfumes, and I will still do a blotter update in a few hours. Please ask questions, leave comments, subscribe on YouTube, likes, hearts, etc. So we started with no, that's the Ida. We started with the Cologne, the new blue Mugler Cologne, which is just a pretty. Do you know what it's actually making me think of now? It's making me think of the original Dior Homme Sport. There's almost a kind of gingery fizz to it, but then ginger is meant to be the ingredient of one of the other ones, so I don't know, but it's fine. It's not likely to offend, not likely to excite. Then we moved on to French Bouquet from BDK, the aldehydic floral. It's pretty good too. It's been a good episode today, actually. We've done some good stuff. Still kind of got that bit of metallic interest in there. Then the iris is now it's almost kind of gone gummy, but in a nice way. You sort of want to sink your teeth into the fabric now. Probably that sort of pliable quality of the peach. It's become more mouth-watering now. Ida, Leaky Ida is still doing her thing. It is good, and the violet note is coming through more, so it is starting to get a little bit sweeter. I like it. I can imagine sort of arty 30-somethings going into Miller Harris and treating themselves to a bottle, and the Lush we've just sprayed anyway. Yeah, you just smile because the oud note is really convincing as well. For once you smell it and you think, yes, it's got all of the stuff that you want from an oud perfume. So, blotter update coming up very soon. And just very quickly, what can I say about the blog? Check out my review, which is on the blog now, of the Neil Chapman book, Perfume in Search of Your Signature Scent. And go back to a little bit earlier in this video to listen to what I said about smell fees. Post your smell fee, #smell fee, and tag Perfume Society and tag Persolaise. Post your selfie on Thursday. But until then, thank you very much for watching and taking part, and be kind to each other. Right, bye now.